Hi, welcome to the series of videos I'm calling Football 101. My name's Theo, channel name is Dashric, and I live in Amsterdam, the Netherlands, and I play middle linebacker for the Hilversum Hurricanes. I've made this series of videos because I realized that not a lot of people around here understand this sport and maybe want to pick it up or just want to really understand the intricacies, so maybe if they tune into an NFL game on TV, they can work it out pretty well. So today's video, we are going to go over the receiver route tree. You'll see why it's a tree in a second. I'm just going to go over this one we're just going to go over this one. But this is for the offensive side of the ball. This is for pretty much anyone that is not the quarterback or lineman. So again, in some philosophies, everyone but the line are receivers. In other things, it's anyone but the quarterback and the lineman. And then routes. Routes are basically a direction that you run with possible turns, and this is like a road, a route you're supposed to go. And the tree, you'll see why it's a tree in just a second. So, since we're on offense, but we're talking about somebody that moves into the other side of the field, the defensive, we are going to put a line of scrimmage, and just for the heck of it, we'll just put a sideline and hash marks, so we have roughly a clue that we're talking about football. We're just going to go off your wide receiver. They're usually the ones that sit out somewhere along the lines of the... This is just to tell you the numbers, and the arrow, when it comes to the numbers, aside from the 50, shows you which direction the goal line is. So, we are moving towards the goal, attempting to score. These are the basic routes that I've come across in my thing. Your coach will have different names. I'm not going to go over them all. I'm not going to go over them all in each language, but these are the numbers that I've known. So, starting out, you will have a couple yards forward and straight out. That's not quite straight out, but yeah. This is what I've been heard of as a one. It's a flat, it's like 2 steps forward and then you go towards the sideline. And you're turning back, you're going to catch the ball. It's quick and easy. Usually this starts a route, but we're not going to quite talk about stems and all that stuff. This is 101. Another route starts about a couple steps in, and then you start angling towards the middle of the field. This is called a slant. Again, this is also a pretty short route to begin with. I've heard this called a 2. Go run a 2. And it's like 1 or 2 steps forward, and then you start angling towards the middle of the field. And a flat is a couple steps forward, and you go straight out, and you turn 90 degrees and go out to the sideline. Sometimes you might hear this one called... You'll have different levels of this one. You might have a 3 and out, a 5 and out, and a 10 and out. That's all just run that far forward and go out. Pretty easy to figure out. So we have further up and out. This is a 5 and out. Okay. And then a comeback goes up, and then you turn around and you come back towards the line of scrimmage. This is sometimes what I've heard called a 3, and then the other side of that comes back towards the quarterback, and that's a... So when you run forward and you come back slightly, that is why it's called a comeback. However, if you turn towards the quarterback's over this way, it's a curl. Now, the reverse of a 5 and out, sometimes, I know Willie at one time called it a 5 and in, but depending on your language, you can 5 and in, 5 and in. Like, you can't really make out what they say. So the term drag. When Willie was doing his receiver progressions, he would say, I'm going to run a 6. I'm going to run a drag. Again, this can be anything up and in. So a short drag, a long drag, or a regular drag. Again, your coach will probably have different names for these things just based on various things. Then you've got possibly a little bit more up and this way. When you're running towards the corner of the field, not to be confused with a corner back, but I've somewhat heard these things called a corner burner if you're fast enough, because you get a straight shot this way, and then if they are not fully flipped, then you can get them back the other way. If they're not a good corner, you've just roasted them. And you can say a shallow corner, which would mean you're not running it like toward a 45-degree angle. You might be running it like a 20-degree angle. But if you're running the exact opposite of that one, you're running a post. How do you remember that one? Well, if you're one of these receivers out here, you're running up and then towards a goal post. They're not complicated. The last route, there's 2 more routes, and they're pretty simple. You just keep running straight. There are multiple things for that one. I've heard it called a seam. I've heard it called a line. I've heard, because you're running like the seam of the field, because if you think of the field as like 2 halves, you're running parallel to the crease. I think I heard someone call it the crease, but I was like, so you mean like the seam? And they're like, yeah, the seam, whatever. There's so many names for these things. I've heard some people call this run a line. Well, it is a line, that makes sense. I'm just shaky hand right now. But what it's generally called is a fly. It's usually your higher numbers. To give you guys the numbers, this would be 7, 8, and a 9. There is a weird route, and this can change based on coach, but one of the things Willie, who's a really damn good receiver and taught me a lot, is there's a 0 route. Way down here, you don't move. You maybe fake a step forward to get someone to go off of you, and then you turn almost immediately, and you catch the ball, and then you get all squirrely after that. But these are the basic routes. There are other ones, which there's like whip outs and wheel routes, and this is just basic. You know, if you're trying out for football and you got your pads on and you're going to try to catch a ball and they say go run a 5 and out, run 5 yards up, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of these little hash marks if you happen to be near it, and then run out to the sideline. I understand that not a lot of Europeans understand yards. In this small case, we can say 5 meters, but that's generally that. Now you can kind of see how that's a tree. Finally got around back to that one. So yeah, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Again, this is for wide receivers. That's a very small portion of the players on the team. So I hope you guys found this informative. Again, if you have any questions, I can make future videos about this, and I will catch you guys later.